time. Do I switch on my microphone? To be around. So thank you so much, John, for introducing me. He sorted out all the technical bits. So welcome one more time. I will be talking with you about cyber risk, about how to actually manage them and why should we even care. So I prepared a little bit tiny agenda where I would like to start actually just putting together what actually the cybersecurity is. Also, I will take you through a little bit about cyber threat landscape, just to make sure that we understand what is going on in the world. Then we're going to go to the cyber risk management, understanding a little bit how we can actually do the cyber risk management. And then I have two tips, what will be the trends and the technology will be used in the cybersecurity going forward. However, just because I put a presentation doesn't mean I can go left and right. So if anybody would like particularly, let's say, target any of the topic, I'm happy to divert. Let's be friends, talk to me, right? You don't have to raise the hands, talk over me. I'm quite used to that. I wanted to also tell you on top what John has actually mentioned about me. I had the privilege to actually design a course about cyber risk for NCSC and GCHQ, which is our, how to say, government sovereign entity for the cyber risk. So I have been working with them for nearly 2 years on that and taught some secret agents, David Crates and stuff like that. So it has been quite entertaining, but also it showed me how different entities, different industries actually look at into the cyber risk. And I probably will ask you a little bit about your understanding of cyber risk. Is there anyone who does that on the daily basis, risk management? Do anybody do general risk management on the day-to-day basis? I'm gonna be saying like, no, 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 no. Perfect. So I want to tell you that you do it even without knowing. Do you have this tiny little thing in your hands? Well, we woke up and we have it, right? Like 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you already are on it. So when you think about that, every single website, every single thing that I have to do here with my colleagues from BCS, I had to actually make a decision. Am I going to connect to the internet? Am I going to give my data and input, let's say, the USB into my computer? Will I connect to this meeting? What in case somebody will be spying on me? So even you make the decision, and you make the decision based on generally, you know. My understanding is if you understand cybersecurity and you understand what can happen over there, you can prepare for it. Bad news is it's changing all the time. So even though I do this presentation and I will tell you a little bit about the stuff and everything, what's going on in there, it may be situations where you probably will feel it irrelevant, maybe even tomorrow, right? That quick, the world of cyber comes. Come in.
Cybersecurity.
Absolutely. Let's come in. We just literally started, feel down, and just enjoy. You see me properly. So when you think about that, all those technologies that we are using on the day-to-day basis, my example, John has mentioned my car got stolen yesterday. I do not know when. And I did a mistake because I didn't ask the question, does it have any tracker? Does it have any application that I can track my car with? I realized that only today. I think we have some questions. John, you're gonna read it for me?
No, I've just said on the chat.
Okay.
If they've got any questions, put them on the chat and I'll come.
Perfect. But if anything, they can still talk to you. So my learning from that is, and what I said to John, I will learn everything about security of the vehicle. And next time I will come here, I will give presentation how to secure vehicles from the theft. Because I personally didn't even think that 2016 years old car would have any capabilities of calling to my phone. It does. I just found out today. Very hurtful, but all good. We will sort it. We have insurance. We manage the risk a little bit. But what I'm trying to say on this very private and still tearful example, I love the car. I had it only 7 months. Terrible. But we are, with all the technologies around we are vulnerable that we may be attacked, we may be used, misused, abused, your data, your personal things, your technologies. Maybe somebody will just use your computer and do some dodgy things to somebody else. So the important is to understand that your setups of your technologies, of your devices and everything actually can aid to some malicious intent, but also you can have unintentional things what can happen. So when I sometimes teach about the cyber, my biggest thing is understanding that cyber is a buzzword, but I also define a realm. It's like wherever you are connected, it's all digital, it's all cyber, it's all everything within the, I would say, the realm of cyber things that can happen. But that doesn't mean that it's only going to be about your information. And that is very important to understand that cybersecurity, information security, data privacy, and everything has one common thing: protect what matters to you. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter if it's information, if it's your systems, if it's your connectivity, or if it's your personal data. All those, I would say, things that are happening in the world are designed to help you protect what matters to you. So we do have, hopefully, next page. Thank you. So when you think about cybersecurity, I necessarily do not split it from the information security or data privacy. It does use a certain element, but for this presentation, I will make sure that I do talk about cybersecurity only and cyber risk related. Yeah, so we are narrowing a little bit of the things. So when we defining cybersecurity, just for the understanding, it's actually the practice that we are trying to protect anything bad, anything to happen to our systems, networks, programs, and everything from the digital attacks. Can we agree on that, or is there any challenge? Yeah, excellent. So when we think about that, most of the attacks, most of the things, and we will come back to the risk on that, they are generally aimed that they will try either access, which is somehow passing your access authentication systems and everything like that, or they will change, tamper. So some of those things could be really good. So imagine you are having your bank application, you have £5,000 on your bank account, and all of a sudden some malicious actors give you a zero in the end, and it's 50,000. You would be like, hey, happy days. But if they're gonna do it on the opposite side, you wouldn't like it, right? From 5,000 being 500 only, not good, right? So anyway, that is changing of the data, but also they can change configuration. So they can change, for example, firewalls. They can change setup, what can go in, what can go out. That they can change configuration, that you can actually install some malware, you can install some software, and so on, so on. So all those cyber attacks try to do and make you harm. And generally, they also want to attack what we discuss, what is actually precious for you. Something that makes value. So being the data, within your organizations, be there your systems, connectivity, and so on and so on. Sometimes also the hackers, the malicious actors, what they actually want to do is they want to get ransom. Do you know that term ransom? Pay somebody something, 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 because they hold hostage, not only physical, but they also do it within your data or systems or databases or the whole systems within your stuff. Or they just don't want you to succeed, right? We will have a lot of attacks which are driven by national state actors. So they, for example, in the political way, for example, there's been so many cyber attacks on the Israeli environment companies and everything, because somebody do not agree, or somebody has been employed by some nation to actually make harm to Israel. They may do it to Russia, they may do it to Ukraine, they may do it on the national state. So generally they want to interrupt the normal operational nation state practices, right? So we have to understand that this is a huge scope. How can you, within the organization, coming from some kids or some blonde girls in the garage, that they try to just tamper with something and they try to actually just prove their values to national state to protect as an organization? What can you do? How can you understand where to even start? Any suggestions?
It's really asking about the use of AIs in cybersecurity.
We will get there. We will get to the AI. It's actually coming. Good thoughts. Bad and good. I will just put a spoiler in. Bad and good. So companies often need to understand their landscape. As me, as a company, as John has mentioned, I have my small, tiny little one-man show company where I'm trying to focus on helping companies to understand their risk and their, security. I probably will not be a target of China or Russia or North Korea because I may not be this important. However, if I'm working with somebody who may possess some information. So for example, my boyfriend would be, for example, some agent who has top secret assets. I wish, because I would know everything. In that moment, I may become the easier target than he does, because he may have all the tools around him, but I am the weakness, I'm the vulnerability when it comes to that aspect. And I think somebody mentioned trust no one all the time. That also is a concept of zero trust, which we will come to. Somebody saw the presentation. There was a leakage, John, from my laptop, which was absolutely offline, because everybody comes in that. So it's really, really good. So I keep saying, for the organizations or for individual, try to stay up about what is the emerging threats, what are the new malwares, what are the trends, who they are actually trying to access and everything like that. So often you can then leverage it through the latest technology. However, the problem also is when you're gonna boost all the organizations or everything with so many technologies, what's gonna happen? What do you think that you have technology for everything? Imagine, let's say I worked before in BP, British Petroleum, doing the oil gas things. Somebody knows, probably. What do you think? They become complicated. It become more complex, absolutely. So BP had all the newest tech. Why? They can afford it. But how about the people? How about the people who actually manage those technologies? How those technologies talk together? One risk to think. Just because you deploy, and we will get to the AI, I am absolutely, not absolutely, sorry, that's a wrong choice of the words. I am very adverse to AI technologies in current port because most of them possess more risk to the organization than actually benefits. Why? Because the use, the development and everything hasn't matured yet. But also what is important when you think about the whole complexity of AI, what it actually is, how many people understand it to verify that the outputs from the artificial intelligence, when we have already the question is, we can verify how many people actually understand, right? It's not even artificial intelligence to the levels. And I have had a discussion with one of my dear colleagues who said, all business people, apologize if there is any business people, they say it's artificial intelligence, or techie people say it's an LLM. It's a literally machine learning on steroids, right? So there's already disparity of understanding among the people because a lot of people understand how artificial intelligence works. When we're gonna already touch the topic on it when it comes to security landscape, what do you think that the dark side, and I will report as a Darth Vader, dark side, Star Wars type of thing, what do you think that the dark side will do? They will utilize it because they are generally nerds. They are generally people who love those things. And you know what? They don't work 9 till 5. They work 24/7. How many times they want? Because they have a drinks and they just do because they are so excited and they don't need anything else. They don't have to go to the office, check in, go to the lunch, time sheets, do this, make reports and everything. They are focused. We will crack AI for our benefits. Sadly enough, that is a bit true. However, going forward, we will also have something which is already somehow happening, which is IAR, which is initial access resale. And when you imagine dark web, you know dark web, the dark side of the web, like you probably on Google, you think that how much percentage can you find on Google? Give me percentage of raw information and data on the scale to 0% to 100%. How much do you think Google can have indexed and know of everything happening across the internet? Give me number.
20%.
20? 5?
15.
15? 10? It's actually reported what I have read 22%. 78 is unknown, and it's in the deep web and dark web. That means that Google do not have index information, what you, when you put, oh, I have all these informations, a lot of people believe that those informations are given. Google never ever lies, right? Really? Really? So most of those things, what is happening is that in the dark side, in the dark webs and everything, you actually, all your data are already there. You know, how much do you think that it costs your access? Maybe your password and your email one, or your credit card details, that's a little bit more expensive. How much? In dollars, pounds, doesn't matter. How much do you think it costs one? How much? 100?
What's the context of the question, Susan?
How much cost your ID in the dark web?
$5.
You think so?
So your
Precious. It does depends on your role and everything what you do, but generally $1 to $2. So what I'm gonna buy, like I have a budget of 10,000, I'm gonna buy 10,000, like, and I will try, right? So initial access resale is very much a trend which will happen, and it's a landscape of the cybersecurity. And also, as I spoke, do you know eBay? Do you use eBay sometimes, or Market, Facebook Market, Vintage? I do not know what else is, like the online shops, right? In dark web, you have the same customer service. How can we help you? Would you like to have a ransomware? Okay, no problem. Where, when, what? How can we do that? 24/7 operational. So you need to understand that ransomware as a service, not PAS, not IAS, not SaaS, we have RAS. Ransomware as a service is a threat. And generally, it's enabling, especially people who do not know how to program or deploy anything, actually use the ransomware. Oh, somebody, can I see this? When somebody pisses you off, sorry, I had to just check the English words. Why not? Let's buy it. I do not know how to do that, but I have services who will actually do that. Scary, isn't it? I'm not touching the surface. I'm not touching the surface. So when it comes to also AI, we now speak about that. There is an element of you can actually help yourself with AI, thinking that you have a machine learning, somebody, something cracking a lot of information, but they do the same on the dark side. So they will utilize, you will have AI-powered attacks, and you will have AI-powered defenses. Who do you think gonna win in that fight? Stormtroopers or resistance? There will be more stormtroopers, definitely at this point, because we have to learn, right? You will also have within the technology, one of the things that are happening is IoT vulnerabilities. You know, IoT, Internet of Things, anything connected to the internet, your washing machine, your ring bell tones, and
Susanna, there's the expert sitting there, Mike Small.
he does on the IoT vulnerabilities. Excellent. Well, why not? Why to be humble? So all those vulnerabilities, they are exploitable. You can use them. Do you know the story? I do not know what it was, that some companies have been attacked because somebody hacked their HVAC system. Very, very famous case. You know, we also talk about the car, electric vehicle hack. Have you seen Fast and Furious 8? Yeah? Cypher is actually programming the cars driving into the Russian expat or some prime minister with the codes for the nuclear war. How you think it is fun? This is real. It's very easy. So I'm now keen. I will know. Like next time I will tell you. So it's a problem because everything runs on the code, and what you can do with the code, it's all connected, and you can actually exploit it. Next one, I'm having goosebumps. Quantum computing threats, we can't fight against that. So think quantum computing, what computers already can do on the double, triple, quadruple steroids. We will have to, and already now there is a lot of researchers working on quantum computing encryption. So we are balancing yin and yang, it's happening. But again, for a company who doesn't have people who knows about this, people who can manage it, who actually understand when we're talking about the risk, it's quite scary, right? Night sleeper, yeah. So night sleeper, I will definitely sleep at the night tonight.
IoT reference.
Exactly. But also we have to think about velocity of the data, the amount of the speed and the amount of the data that are happening and all the hybrid infrastructures. It's a lot of things happening. So be mindful of that. And when I think about what we actually need in order to succeed and again, we talk only about the landscape, is actually DevSecOps, development security operations, so which is DevOps, implement secure by design, secure by default. National Cybersecurity Center and government have initiated a cybersecurity strategy where actually with the pilot in MOD, Ministry of Defense, military, they actually take pictures whenever you want, it will be available, no problem. There is no I'm not precious about this, it's all true, it's all words.
So
As
it's
long-
going to be available to us?
Yes,
Yes,
the recording will go up on the web about a week after, yeah.
Oh, perfect.
but if you want to take pictures, something pops up, please. I'm not precious about that. So the need for actually implementing security of DevOps. I work with a company where we had 70, 80 smart, very smart people doing programming, very, very secure project, but nobody cared about security. They were supposed to deliver just the product. Security, vulnerabilities, 150 vulnerabilities on our design code, so what? They are okay, we will just talk about that, right? So somebody already on the chat said, more zero trust adoption, right? It's like, we will actually decide who we trust. We will not open our gates, we will close the gates, and then we will verify. Like I was coming here, he was like, who are you? I'm like, oh. So trust no one, as somebody said, but also what we can imagine within the 2024, it's not only data privacy regulation that will stricken, but you already knew the speech from King that he has, I would say, blessed the cybersecurity and AI bill that is going to go into the production approval, stuff like that. So we can anticipate that there will be stricter rules for cybersecurity and AI within UK. Europe already have DORA. They already have, which is a digital resilience for the financial sector. They have NIS2, which is the adoption of the NIS1, which is especially for the critical, national critical infrastructure, how to report incidents, how to be prepared for incidents. They have AI Act now already going in the life. AI Act is about how AI have to be deployed and what it has to fulfill. Somebody call it GDPR on steroids, because it is tough, it is hard, but we will see what's going to happen here. What actually will happen, and we can see that within the 2024/2025 supply chain attacks, typical. If you can't break to BP, pick up some of their suppliers and try that way. It's easier, right? And there will be a lot of biometric authentication challenges. Have you heard about Hong Kong? 25 million pounds have been passed on the Teams meeting because somebody impersonated the CFO and all the other people during the Teams using deepfakes technology. Yeah. I talked with someone, and you know what? Said, oh, it's never gonna happen. It's too expensive, this technology. Subscription, £35. So that's why we need to do cyber risk management. Because it is scary. If you are not having goosebumpy hand, I can continue, but we can talk as well about the next. So when it comes to the cyber risk management, you need to understand that from perspective of cyber, doesn't belong to IT, doesn't belong to IS, it's connected with every single, because when we think about what we discuss about the cyber security, it does enable function of every single element of business. It's maybe a little bit revolutionary, however, why not? Why would you challenge it? Every single department has their own, that was discussed at the Garden webinar at 15 today. Excellent, Stephen, thank you. So we have to recognize that technology will have specific risk. Business will have their specific risks. Strategic enterprise risk could be something like we will not have enough people, typical enterprise, or we will face bankruptcy. Can be enterprise risk, but cyber actually enable and support, because if something goes wrong within the cyber realm, you may as well close the business down. When you don't have data operation system connectivity, you can fulfill your requirements for the supply chain and for everything like that. So that's why again, coming back, we having the cybersecurity risk management, which is actually about being paranoid. I know I said it, but you have to be a little bit paranoid to do risk management because you have to predict future. What can happen, what the consequences can come, how you can actually transfer that information to decision makers. So it's not like cybersecurity management isn't writing something in the code. It's about articulating the information for the right decision making to understand the consequences that can happen. So that way you actually can find when you are doing the seeking and everything like that, you can see what can go right or wrong. You can have also opportunities. A lot of things doesn't have to be necessarily risky or negative, but it can be actually positive as well. So when it comes to that, you can actually deliver a sourceful, useful information for your management. But also, we have to also understand the last bit, which is there, and that is that we can never fully know the future as we try to improve our prospects. Don't be hard. You can't never identify everything, right? So what is important and what I want you as the message from here is that the risk management matters, because if you understand your risk, you can manage it and you can actually make informed decision. Excuse me. Did you ever happen to you when you were a kid and you came home late? All the naughty faces, nobody came home late. Mom said 9 o'clock and you came maybe 10 and you said like, oh my goodness. What has happened? Have you had any consequences? Have you been grounded?
Grounded.
Yeah, or tomorrow you're not going anywhere, or maybe in my culture we have been punished different ways. Good old times. The important is you make the decision. You knew you have what you have to do, but you manage the risk by accepting the consequences. Same thing is every single time when it comes to your cyber risk. But what we want to say is the risk will never disappear. It's more about next time you will say, Mom, I'm not going to come 9, I'm going to come 10. You're managing the risk. She may say no, but you're trying to manage it, right? There's also no one way how you can actually do the risk. But what is important is that there is uncertainty you have to work. You do not know. But uncertainty is a big piece of the risk. And you are trying to manage the undefinable. It's kind of paranoid. But I will tell you, the important for the cyber risk management is try your best. Try to understand and come back to where I started, is trying to actually protect what matters to you. If that is your relationship with your mother and relationship of your going out, or if that is your data, your Facebook, your medical data and everything like that, focus on that, prioritize that. Don't try to solve everything, right? I had a very funny panel in Aberdeen last month where I got to the area about the risk, which I didn't want to enter with one of my panelists. But I asked the dear friend next to me, I said, like, why do you care that somebody will seize your medical data? Why does he care? If he has drilled his dentist, drill his teeth, why does he care that somebody will steal the data that he has been at the dentist? Why do you care that somebody sees that you have blood A? Why do you care about that? Any ideas?
Identification. So, for instance, they find a body and they're looking at dental records and they're being chopped and changed.
So, okay, so malicious intent that they will change the data so when you need to be treated. How much of your targeted value you have that somebody would do that? Probability, right? Likelihood, like how many people will actually want you and you will end up in that hospital or somewhere in the hospital and you will need blood, yeah? It's a managing of the risk, but a lot of people now says, oh, protect your data. What I'm saying, protect your subscription, because they are more damageable for your reputation when we're gonna think about OnlyFans and all the other stuff. I don't want nobody to know what I'm watching when I'm like, hey, right? I think like I would be more ashamed if somebody knew that than if I have been at the dentist, isn't it? So understanding this, back in the time, everybody was about the health data, right? Like, hey, medical data, sensitive data and all this stuff. Of course, there's some sensitive stuff which you may not want. That's not all of them. I'm absolutely okay for you guys to know the size of my feet. I'm absolutely okay for you to see my race and everything, but that's my risk management, right? About the privacy of the data. So we need to understand that sometimes the risk perception can be different. But what I want to also say, just because you have to be compliant, a lot of standards will require your compliance, doesn't mean that you're going to do risk management. Just because you have some table, doesn't mean you're compliant and stuff like that. All right. How are we doing with the time?
You're going fine, Susanna.
How much time do I still have?
15 minutes.
Excellent. I can continue then. So what I wanted just to summarize in here, in order to actually do a right management, look at risk management on its own. What actually that risk management wants to deliver, right? Because if you are doing cybersecurity risk management and your setup is wrong, what you're going to provide as a value to your management or your own needs? Irrelevant data, right? So start looking into your risk management that is fit for purpose. The next thing is engage people in the training and everything around that. Asset management. What do you see as an asset? A lot of people say servers. A lot of people say all the infrastructure, all the data and stuff like that. I also say people, everything that has value, right? A big false architecture and configuration. A lot of people do not understand secure by design. They don't understand connectivity. And the problem is when you're facing dependencies, that one system depends on functionality of the other one, or it expects some data, especially the operational technology, the big machines that are transferring things on the rig oils or somewhere in the constructions and everything like that. You need to understand the architecture configuration and actually have compatibility. I do remember that we have been deploying a quite key component of the system, and it wasn't compatible with our environment. So we had to do landing zone, which came up with a lot of extra cost. Again, understanding that will help you to manage the risk and then the impact, being that especially financial one. We already spoke about the vulnerability. We spoke about the identity and access management, just know who is coming where and why. Data security. Logging and monitoring will help you, but it can also kill you, because overload of those data daily, standard organization produce millions of logs of every single click depending on your configuration. So coming back to the configuration on the top is absolutely critical. Ask yourself, do you actually need to collect the logs? And what do you do with the logs? Because if you do not do anything, why do you collect them? For the sake of having extra data on your storage, you know how much it costs, the data storage? Ask your management. And look at in the incident management and supply chain security. We're actually gonna come to the incident in a little bit. But what I wanted to show you, this is just a little bit of the sources what you can actually use. So those all are best practices for security, for risk management. So first one is ISO standard, which is generally European based, and Asia, a lot of use it. NIST is very American, US, that started as a federal approach. You have a lot of specific, depending where you want to go and everything. And you also have a lot of, local government guidance. So you don't have to reinvent it. Yeah, I just wanted to show you that there are a lot of things that already either said how to protect yourself, how to manage the risk, and how even understand what you need to look at, right? So Google could be your friend. DuckDuckGo is even better, just for the security principles point of the view. But there are sources. So my main thing is look at what you're trying to achieve, what you want to do. So for example, 62443 ISO is for operational technology. It's very much for anything that is coming, machineries, interconnection between the big systems and everything like that. So when it comes to that, you will probably find very basics in the 27001. But if you want to understand how actually the operational technology operates and can secure and can actually deliver the security of the components, 62443 has a lot of ideas in there, but you have to follow for the operational technology. If you do normal office, we call it carpet work. 27,001 is okay, right? With the requirements in 27,002. So what I wanted to demonstrate in here is that a lot of sources, it's probably have been targeted. So why not? So just in the key principles, what I wanted to say is your organization's risk shall be understood. Your organization should know about the risk. You should have appropriate mitigation that can manage the risk. You should be ready because you will be attacked, or you already are. Question as well. And I would say one of the thing is, if you are not attacked yet, there is probably likelihood, sounds terrible. There is very likely that you may be, or it may happen. So I speak to a lot of people and I say, what's going to happen when you are in the attack? You stop everything. You don't do anything. You just, hey, now we are doing the cybersecurity incident response and everybody stop. No, your business still have to deliver. They still have to earn money. They still have to deliver the goods. They still deliver the product. So I recommend to the companies looking at their buzzwords, resiliency, how you will operate under the incident, what that will look like, and get ready for it. Because it's gonna stop the panic. It will mitigate the risk of any consequences of financial, reputation, and everything. Understand how you can actually operate under the attack. So here's my little approach where I put it in a very simplistic. I'm a woman of simple things. Understand your assets, understand what threat can do, understand your weak places, which is vulnerabilities, and what it will have in the impact, and that will help you understand your risk. Simple as that. But when you're gonna go and dwell to the details, it's gonna be very, very tough work, because that scope, which you need to do, can be a little bit overwhelming. But I want to say you are not alone there. So last two slides. I just want to, how to say that? Not to give you a positive information, but some kind of data you can work with. The AI will transform our cyber defense. We know that AI will help. And they also think that when it comes to the dark side, it will also leverage a little bit of the capabilities of AI. But I think this gives to our CISOs, Chief Information Security Officer. Some of them already are calling themselves digital officers and stuff like that. So they actually are excited about it because they finally will have some power that they can use, but that has to be used powerfully and usefully, right? And there's also some statistic that the 39% of CISOs plan to train teams to better understand threats posed by generative AI. So you may get trained. That's a positive news, I think. And it's necessary. And the next one is ransomware will continue to fail many. In 1 in 11 paid 1 million or more in ransom, and 96% from the sample pool fell victim. So when you think about that, there has been a person that didn't want to put all the stuff, but most of the companies paid. Why did they pay ransomware when ransomware is in a new attack? Why don't you have backup? Maybe start doing the basics, have a backup, understand business continuity, understand disaster recovery. So just to summarize it a little bit, this is the last slide, is identify and protect what is the most valuable, what actually have the value. Utilize anything that you can. Do not reinvent the wheel. Adopt a good cybersecurity risk management approach, which helps the organization to be ready. And at least if they do not do anything about it, they at least know. And lessons you learn your lessons and evolve, because we also didn't start walking. We crawl, we fall. It's the same in cyber. So that is me. Any questions?
Thank you, Susanna.
Thank you. There's a LinkedIn if somebody would like to connect.
We have a comment here from the web.
Yeah.
Do we not need to manage the risk rather than the consequence? The likelihood rather than the consequence?
No. So I will say very strict no, because I'm a big fan of volcanoes. Who knows me a little bit, they know I love to climb volcanoes. I have been in Iceland many times and I love adventures and everything crazy. And you never know when it's gonna pop up. It may be in 100 years, it may be tomorrow, it may kill me, it may not kill me. The likelihood, unless you are having a very reliable data, which in the cyber are not, you cannot say if it's gonna happen in 1 day, in 10 days. What is the likelihood we will have pandemic is a question which you can use right now. And you will say, oh, very likely. 10 years ago, impossible, right? Just that even has changed your perception of likelihood. But the problem with the cyber isn't when you're gonna have ransomware. It may not happen tomorrow, but what if it is tomorrow and you are not ready? Why are you giving yourself and denying just because somebody said likelihood will be 1 in 10 years? Are we on the scale of the 1 10 years now, 9.99? Or are we like on the 0.1? We do not know. So I'm very much against likelihood in definitions or driving how likely it is to actually look into that. I think the important is, instead of risk or consequences of likelihood, is perception how important it is for the organization, what that risk will cause as an impact to them. And can we accept it? Can we resolve it internally? That would be my answer, John.
There's another question here, Susanna.
Okay, I'm ready.
It relates to the use of dependency modeling top-down to identify uncertainty to a sufficient level to understand the probability of a system being compromised. So it comes down, I guess, again, to identifying the threat.
It is. And I would say, I often say, when I do not know, I will try to do an informative recommendation based on what I make the conclusion. So when I, for example, present some risk to some board or some stakeholders, I will provide, okay, so we are likely to be subject of ransomware. However, because our controls are blah, 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 because our team is trained, blah, 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 because we have backup, blah, 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 I'm feeling personally we have sufficient controls in place, we can quickly recover from that attack. So having that question is about, if we want to know about the abstract mathematics, I would say more communicate based on what you make that conclusions, because that will help the recipient, the stakeholder who will make decisions, understand more based on what you make the conclusion, the recommendation, or what was the word?
Dependency modeling.
Exactly. So you can say like, I'm considered this important system, dependency modeling.
I think the big challenge is,
Yeah.
if you concentrate on the threats,
Yeah.
you don't really concentrate on what you actually know at the moment.
Yeah.
And you're going to
that's
pretty
more
much get
restrictive.
hit by something you never even thought about. But what really does matter, and I agree with you, Suzanne, is resilience. How can you recover from this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is, again, coming back to proper risk management. You need to articulate the impact of it to your management. Because, again, your management is paid big money to understand holistic ways. Just because you feel that, oh my goodness, phishing emails are terrible. To what extent? To what extent? It's like a panic, like every single company are training all of their people in the wrong behavior because they putting them simulation tests in every email. What you gonna do next time? Are you still checking more the emails, or are you just tired of those phishing simulations in your mailbox by now? Right? It's again the same thing. It's like what you're trying to achieve is very important, and your stakeholders need to understand. Somebody told the stakeholders that they are supposed to simulate the phishing so people are being more aware. Yeah, fine. But don't punish them for spending next half an hour to 1 hour on the training. Oh, this is a cybersecurity. This is a phishing email. This is this, because they feel like a school kids and they are disengaged, right? So looking into that, this is a little bit my study about the human behavior, how we are wired. So I would say when it comes to the management, make them understand what is the risk and let the decision on them, because they may have information or they may have a different risk appetite, risk approach than you, because you may make conclusions in the solitude of your limited knowledge. You may not know what the business say. I will give you an example on this because I think I went too technical. Facebook it's okay to pay GDPR fines. They don't care about your privacy. They are okay. For them, it's a pocket money that whatever penalty they will be issued by any commissioner everywhere, it's okay, because for them, the business of selling your data is, let's say, 1 billion versus the fee are 1 million. So this is decision on the top level. We are okay. You would say, no, GDPR, we have to be compliant. We can't do this. No, it's okay. It's a decision making, right? I'm not saying they don't make changes. I don't want to scare you, but that is the case. Any more questions?
No, someone said great presentation, Susanna, which I agree with.
Thank you. Any questions here? Did I scare you a little bit?
So it would be interesting to sort of talk a little bit about the fact that what you've been describing are not individual failures, but you will change the failures. You know, you described the case of ransomware and a number of different sets of controls. Well, most times things go wrong. It's actually a chain of things that go wrong. And quite often the first step, although you sort of complain about phishing emails, 99% of them start with somebody getting hold of a credential to do things. So how do you deal with these chains in your view of risk?
Very good question. I have to comprehend the answer. How would I answer to this? So I would say mix of every single possible controls you can do. I always look at that. It's defense in depth, onion, layered approach, whatever you want to call it. Because the fact somebody get phishing email and click, there should be one layer. You know, if somebody puts their details, you can deploy technology that will tell you, look, you are putting details somewhere outside of our organization. Why are you doing that? I'm big advocate. It may be costly, but I'm big advocate. If you really care about this, deploy technologies that will help the people to make the right decision. Because, for example, today, I'm very vulnerable. My head is on my stolen car and I'm feeling what I'm gonna do. I can't transport. I'm having stress in my life. I do not know what's happened. Now I will not look at the emails and will be like, that looks like a phishing. You can't predict the human nature. And we all know when boss is like, hey, send me the report, or your kid, you have to pick up your kid from the nursery, or your friends are waiting, hey, beer time, and flight is going, I'm going on holidays. A lot of people will not put the security of your organization first because they always will be taken personally. So if we know and we so much care about what can be exploited and we don't have segregation of the network, segregation of data, and all those controls in place, I would help the people to make the right decision. Because I feel like if one failure gets you inside of your network, then you do not do your security on your network side correctly. That's my thinking. It may be a little bit provocative, but it is my take on that.
Thank you.
Did that answer
Well, yes.
a little bit?
The reason why I moved here was I had a slight cyber failure. The batteries on my computers in my ear went down.
Mitigating the risk of not hearing. Excellent.
Susanna.
Sorry,
Of course.
I was just thinking, because cybersecurity is such a complex career, but a lot of people want to get into it, like tech in general. But I feel like it's more easier for people with IT background, but say you're like an entry level, you want to get into cybersecurity. What advice and what pathway would you say that someone that's like a beginner get into this career?
My brutally honest, direct answer, just go for it. Don't care. Play on your strength. Because I actually was talking on 2 weeks ago in the presentation on a similar topic. And that was more towards the women, like, in the tech. But I said, like, it doesn't matter if you're a man, female, doesn't matter. If you want it and you are excited about that, go for it. Because I am not IT. I never studied IT. I never done. Hello. Right. So for me, it's something like I follow my passion and I learn and I deliver the work myself and I was motivated. So if you have the motivation, you're already there half of the way, maybe more than people who study the IT, because you are like, hey, I want this. So I always use my friend Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? He started bodybuilding, then he became top level of the politician, and then, actor, and then politician. So he has done 3 careers in his life on top level because he had drive. He never studied anything. He was going to the, school after the gym. He was going to the, I don't know, like the theater school and the, like, I don't know, playing school and stuff like that. So my thing is identify what you are passionate about and what you are good at. I'm good with logic. I love audit. I love 1 and 0s. Like my brain works like system, like 1, 0, blah, blah, I go in the zone. And I knew that from my childhood because I cracked things when I was tiny little kid. I love that. I wanted to do everything illegal in my life, but that wasn't a career. So I have to go on the other side. Yeah. But it built up from the early age. And, I met one guy in the conference. He said, oh, I want to get in cybersecurity. I was like, what's your career? He said, like marketing manager. I was like, talk to one of the dealer and be marketing for them and learn the cyber during that. Utilize your strength because sadly enough, especially in London, UK, we need to earn money to survive the day-to-day breathing in London. So you need to earn money. So play on your strengths. And maybe study in the side. Like I, for example, I do my PhD on the side of my full-time job and volunteering. Sadly, a lot of people see like, oh, you're getting old. I'm like, oh, I need my new cream on my eyes. But for me, it's worth it because I don't want to do 5 years school, 5 years work and stuff. I do 5 years and I have 10 experiences in the row. So it's more about what you want to give. But don't stop. If you want, get. And don't be afraid. I found it, cybersecurity community is one of the most supporting ever. Like whoever I ask, whatever level up, whatever level down, just ask. Like I have people talking to me and asking me things and I go and talk to the people and I said like, hey, can you help me understanding application security? So I have my mentor for application security because I approached him and I said like, would you mind? But I have to manage him. I have to say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you do this? So approaching someone who is knowledgeable or you want to be like, or somebody you resonate, ask. I ask, like we spoke with John, like I literally came to Dave Campbell, who is the guy who hacked Tesla. I was like, hey, can we be friends? And he looked at me, he was like, yeah, of course, why not? And I'm like, oh. I did the same with Kevin Mitnick, if you remember. I literally say, hey, Kev, I really love your work. Would you mind maybe chatting sometimes while he was still alive? Rest in peace to him. I just reach out because as crazy as it sounds, most of those people are absolute lovely people. I met with CISO of Netflix. I just literally said, I'm remembering his name. I know his name is Chan in the stuff, but I was like, hey, can we meet? 6 years ago, he's like, yeah, of course. Where are you? Las Vegas. Yeah, come on, me too. I know. That's why I reach out. And we just went and have a drink and just talk. So I think like a lot of businesses and a lot of industries have these barriers in them. Like everybody tried to play the cards close and everybody like, no, we are not saying the know-how and everything. Hell no. Excuse, can I say that? Sorry. So yeah.
To wrap this up, I'm afraid.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for a great presentation.